Um, I've been throughout camp and a while ago. I worked a little bit of everything. So I worked except center. So I worked both guards and tackles, moving around a lot.
When did it become clear that you were the next guy up there? I mean, if given what happened to Grant, if he went down, did you know that you would be the next guy in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understood that.
Were you the backup for other spots too?
Uh,
Like if somebody else went down or something?
the right tackle too.
Right tackle too.
Yeah.
Why has New Jersey become such a hotbed?
Just a lot of talented guys in New Jersey. I could say firsthand experience. I played against a lot of talent. There are a lot of guys who come out of there who just ready to go-getters who are ready to go.
And how is it nice to have such a substantial
Yeah.
group of guys from your home state here?
Yeah, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable around being here because there are guys I can relate to.
What?
Didn't mean to catch you up there, sorry. Why do you think that happened? Why did all these Jersey guys end up coming out here? What's got that momentum going?
I like to say that just like the coaches here are definitely a big part of it, and just like I'm personally for me, I wanted to move a little bit further away from home, get to experience a little bit more, but I think that the coaches are definitely a big part of it.
I think that once that starts happening, it kind of builds momentum.
It's
It's
like
easier to keep that inertia going.
I definitely say that it's more like a snowball effect. So I think a lot more Jersey guys are gonna start making their way out of Jersey and moving to bigger schools.
Have the Paramus crew out here, have you guys gotten together at all this week and talked about going back to Jersey and getting excited about it?
Yeah, we've talked a few times, and we all know, since we've all played together, we all know a few guys who are at Rutgers now. And it's
Right.
exciting to go back home. It's going to be a good feel.
What's Coach Partridge's telling you guys about keeping an even keel? Your first trip back home is obviously a big weekend for you.
Just trying to manage it all, not trying to get too overzealous.
You know, the guys from Ohio get a lot of hate because they came here. Do you experience that in New Jersey?
Nah, they try, but we stand up for each other, so we're always ready.
Like, what do they do? In what sense are they trying?
They make fun of the way we talk and some of the things that we say don't make sense to them.
But I'm talking about the people back in New Jersey.
Oh.
That like the Ohio guys who leave, they get.
No, not worried about that.
But you do hear from them.
Yeah, every once in a while, but it's not that big a deal.
So the guys here make fun of you.
Yeah.
Your accent's not that bad, though.
Yeah, I
mean,
got a
not-
lot of.
It's not
that bad.
Oh yeah.
I got a lot of family down south, so I kind of code switch a lot.
What were your finalists in terms of schools?
Here, Tennessee, and I was also looking at Florida and Boston College.
You and Jabril were in the same class, right? Coming in
Yes.
here? Was him coming here? Did that sort of start a lot of momentum in this? It sounds like a lot of guys looked. I don't, not you. You were his teammate, but a lot of the younger guys looked up to him a lot.
I feel like that could be part of it. I feel like a lot of other guys also think that they like the tradition and just like the coaching staff that's here. I think that played a large part. That was a part that played a pretty big part in it for me because like I got a chance to visit a lot of schools when I was getting recruited. And I just didn't feel like the same type of like at home feeling, I guess you could say, home away from home. So I think that's also a big part, and then also having, I could definitely say that like having guys who are from school, from Paramus as well, could play a part to that.
So is Ann Arbor a lot like New Jersey then?
Oh no, way different from where I live, but it's a good different. I like putting myself in diverse situations, just getting to experience life.
How would you describe the high school football culture in New Jersey?
North Jersey specifically, it's like I could say it's probably like Texas. That's just where I was at. Football was one of the most important things out there, and a lot of guys just knew what type of opportunities that football bring, and we all just tried to do what we could and made the best of it.
It seems like it's almost like a mini college recruitment to some of those programs.
Yeah.
You get national programs like Bosco and stuff like that.
It's a pretty big deal, especially in the last few years. And I could say I feel like maybe right before I left, I started to notice that as well. it's a really big deal. So yeah.
To kind of give you a baseline for what it was going to, like, obviously at a much smaller level, but what the next step was going to be, going through your college recruitment and then, ultimately picking this place.
Yeah, I think it played a large part in that, and also just like, I guess you could say like making the transition from. I mean, it's a lot. It was still a lot different, but just making like that transition, I guess you could say also, it played a part in that.
How difficult is it for a school like Michigan to tap into, Michigan or New Jersey's always been a place that powerhouses have kind of fed off of the talent there. How difficult is it to set up a landline to that place?
I feel like this place specifically has been doing a real good job of setting up that line. But I mean, there are a lot of talented guys out there, so other schools are gonna have to start looking at other places. So, because I think we've got that area on lock for now.
What do you do specifically to sell a guy from New Jersey to come to your school?
It's a tough question. I know for me, I felt like, I'm sure a lot of other guys I know can relate to this, but just like getting like that type of type of coaching where it's not so much like just your coach, but I mean, to you they mean more, or well, to them you mean more than just like a player or just a guy who's supposed to get the job done. Like it's almost like I guess you said, like a family feel.
Are most high school coaches a community leader type in towns that they're in North Jersey?
A lot of coaches I've come in contact with in Jersey, I could say, are similar to that. I think Coach Partridge was the best at it, but I think a lot of the guys also could say that they relate to that.
Juwann, what have you noticed just about the offensive line since since you've been here? 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't what it is today as far as talent and depth. What have you noticed just by being here and practicing, every day with these guys?
I feel like the attitude in the last few years has just changed. Like we know what we want and we're gonna take it. As of a few years ago, it just was different. It wasn't like I didn't feel as if we bonded well, I guess you could say, and I think things have changed a lot. So.
How much influence? I mean, I guess, and let me explain it. Their talent has always been here. I mean, the talent's
always been there.
How much influence, I guess, did Tim have on it coming in and seeming to get a little bit more out of guys?
I think he played a large role in that because I think he just like demanded a certain like attitude out of us, and just like just him like having that demand kind of either told us like it was kind of either like you could sink or swim. So a lot of guys decided to swim, and we had to change things up, and I think it was all for the better.
You guys, I mean, is that an approach that you guys respond to well? The sink or swim, where it's a do or don't thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys responded to it well. I mean, everyone comes here with the same ambition. So I mean, I think if you want to play and be a part of this team and play a large role in this team, you're gonna have to step up to the plate and just do things you may not be comfortable with at the time. But like, I don't think any of the coaches here would put us in this position to fail.
So did you go to Prentice for all 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And how'd you land there?
Originally, I didn't go to play football. I started playing football in high school, and it was only because of like a health issue, overweight. So I had to do some sort of exercise.
How overweight were you, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably around, I was like maybe 2 inches shorter and 20 pounds every time now.
And how old were you?
14, 15.
So that was going into your freshman year?
Going into freshman year of high school.
And so you didn't play at all in grade school?
No, didn't play until high school.
And was it always because of you were just too big?
Some were too big. I really didn't want to play until I got around 8th grade. I played basketball in the past, and I played baseball one day, but I didn't really have any interest in playing football until around then. And then I started playing. I couldn't play in 8th grade because of the weight, but high school they said I could play, so I started playing.
So was it a health thing, or was it more you're too big to play with these kids?
It was a health thing mainly, but I also wanted to play football and give it a shot because I figured that would be a good way to, lose weight too.
When did you realize you're pretty good?
I don't know.
First day?
Maybe when I don't know. I guess when I had my first like big play, I thought I was I was kind of cool guy, I guess.
And when was the first time you got recruited and said, "Oh my goodness, I might be able to play in college"?
Probably after my junior year. Yeah,
Wow, that's pretty late.
yeah. I didn't start until I was junior.
You didn't start until your junior season, and you didn't start getting recruited until after your junior season. And who was the first one to reach out?
I think it was UMass.
Okay. And then when did Rutgers come in?
Late, really. Yeah.
Oops.
Next, my second one was my second one was Florida, so pretty big jump.
Did you consider? How much did you consider Rutgers?
I didn't put much thought into it. I figured if so they spent so much time around that area, and if I was playing well, and some other schools had come to see me for them, I figured it wasn't much. I didn't have to put much thought into that. So.
John, just kind of a general question. How much do people talk about Big Ten football out there and, Rutgers being, newer to the Big Ten? When you were a kid, did you ever pay attention to Big Ten football? Were people talking about it at all?
Actually, I wasn't much of a big football fan, so I didn't really pay attention to it. I was more of just a cartoon type of guy, just watched a lot of TV. But I could say that when I was young, I think the Big Ten had more of an influence than, if any, had more of an influence than like any other big Power 5 conference did, I think.
So you're saying like even back then, if let me spit this out here. If Rutgers wasn't in the Big Ten, but despite that, people still knew about the Big Ten. It was more influential than, say, the SEC or ACC.
Yeah, I think you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned the trust thing that you knew you were the next guy up. Do you feel like you have that same trust to be the starter going into this one? Or into this week?
Yeah. I think I'm ready to go. I'm excited for this Saturday, and I'm just gonna do everything I can to prepare.
Have they told you that you're gonna, or are you sort of competing for the spot?
I haven't heard anything, but I'm gonna take it as if I'm competing. I'm gonna just practice like I'm competing for a starting spot. So
Who was in that left tackle rotation like today?
Myself and Mason. So.
Thanks, man.